Yeah, so welcome to the Compliance Weekly Sync on the 4th of April, 2023. And it's just yourself and I, Aaron. So I will share my screen and we'll walk through the milestone board quickly. Right, so you should be able to see that now. You know, if you can't, we have a whole bunch closed. Sorry, where did we get up to last week? Stop ignore. So the next one was audit event type information for members by Hasselman. Do you know about this one at all?
So yeah, a number of these I know, a lot of these are related to audit events. And now that I think about it, this is a good time to mention that with the new verification process, we have the initial developer and the verifying developers assigned to each issue. So I'm wondering if we're going to get into a situation where someone shows as being assigned to an issue that maybe wasn't the person principally working on it. Maybe it might have been the verifier. Because what happened, I know that Huzaifa recently closed a number of issues that were related to audit events because they were already completed as part of some other issue being done in our refactoring process. So what he did was, I think he just reassigned those to me and then immediately closed them. So there may be a number of those showing up in this column, but I didn't see one immediately. But that's the kind of thing that's been going on behind the scenes there. So I don't know about that one specifically, but as far as I know, that one's been verified and is checked off. So I think we're fine there.
Good. Okay, yeah, I know that's on the agenda, so we can get to that next. The next was the update empty text for status checks. And this, we actually sat down with Camellia and went through the design and decided that this isn't actually required at this stage, so just close that off. Now, next we have Michael define the audit event type schema for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll move this one up. 8, 9, 10 of those. That was all based off the one MR that Hasselman had created, and that's the first one being closed. So awesome work, Michael. That's a great step towards having that defined schema for all of our audit events. The next one was moving auditor for user access to auditor with yourself.
That was one that that Harsmar submitted. This was bringing up the issue of where we were going to move a lot of the helper code that is currently associated with audit event service, and finding somewhere under the auditor namespace to put that. For the particular example in that issue, we had some discussion on this, and I tentatively closed this because at the moment we aren't strictly refactoring that code anywhere else. We're just writing the new audit code to basically produce the same result without having to rely on a helper. So we're basically factoring it out rather than finding somewhere else to move it. So I did close that issue. Probably broader refactor discussions will happen after all the principal work on audit events are done. But for now, I think that one is a non-issue.
Okay, cool. The next one was the audit event performance limits. So Hasselman has closed this because it's been promoted to an epic and there's been 4 or 5 issues created underneath it to start the work into the implementation planning. So it's a good step there. The next was the update to the compliance violation queries to use denormalized columns. So this was the final part of the optimizing the compliance violation query. And I think in here, no, it must have been in the epic. I think it was something like we saw a 90% increase in the timings on this. No, I can't find it, but that's awesome work, Huzafa, to have that all closed off, and now we can start using that in the report, which will make a huge difference. So there's 3 more of the audit event type schema that Michael completed, which is awesome. And then the final one that was closed here is develop guidance for audit events for different tiers. And just to confirm that Derek has confirmed that we're just going to use exceptions at the moment while we've got audit events in different tiers, pricing tiers, and then we'll go from there. In the workflow verification, we have filtering the compliance framework report, which was great to have that there. Which is one of our big goals for this milestone, so it'll be good to have that finished off. Was there anything in dev or in review that you wanted to discuss, Aaron?
I don't think I had anything specifically to discuss right now. So there is one in-depth issue that I have that's actually comprised of a few different MRs. One of them might be in review. This is another thing that I didn't think of when I split that into different MRs. I'm trying to get all of those MRs into review so I can move the issue itself into review. But that's where I'm at with that right now.
Oh. The other one was the Apply Compliance Framework report. I know Ilya has actually completed this and it's been merged. So I'll move this into verification. We can get that verified and closed off. Blocked. So raise error when not defined. So we need to get all those MRs closed before we can work on that one. So that's still blocked. And the integration of the compliance violation branch filter with Ilya. I'm not sure. Oh, this is actually still blocked on the back end to use those compliance violation query updates. So the updates have been made, but we need to now use it in the back end and then we can update the front end. Any in solution validation or planning breakdown that you wanted to discuss? No. And finally, and Camellia is not on the call, so can't talk through the design. That's all right. Share my screen then. And next up was to discuss the OKR blockers, and that's with you, Aaron.
Yeah, I put a number on these up, and I was hoping we have a little more a group here to talk through that, but I'll be sure to share this with everyone in Slack. I think the main thing that I wanted to go through is I still need to go through and see where we are on individual issues so I can get a better idea of like overall progress. But I did want to mention some things that are coming up fairly routinely in the work that I've been doing so far. I've had to shuffle some issues around slightly because we're running into things where certain classes and controllers were doing audit events but did not have any specs. I've run into one situation there. So now we're in a case where we also need to write the specs so we can test the audit events, and that increases the weight of those and complexity of those issues significantly. So we do have a fallover epic for things that we put certain classes in there for things that we weren't sure we were going to get to in Q1. So I've tentatively marked it there just so we know that it's something that needs to be done. But yeah, generally, this is one thing that's kind of dragging us back a little bit, and I mainly just wanted to put it out there in case we could get a few more eyes on it, and maybe someone could work specifically on sorting out some of the trickier issues with testing things like SAML and two-factor authentication locally, because again, it's just a very time-consuming setup to do, and yeah, so we'll talk about that later today in our meeting as well. But we just need to realign some assignments there, just so we can make sure that we can address all of these things.
Okay, and is there anything that you need from the team right now?
Yeah, right now I just pointed out those two specific issues. I think the main thing that I will need direct help with is testing and verification of some of the authentication issues, because I'm just personally in a little bit of quite a bit of a time crunch right now with the security group things. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to make sure that all the bases are covered, basically. But yeah, I just kind of wrote everything out there. I will get it up in Slack too, just so everyone can see. But that's basically it.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm guessing that or do you want to discuss your FY question as well?
Yeah, the one quick question I was also going to ask for the group is, I know that our verification process is fairly new. We've had a lot of discussion on it leading up to this. The one thing that I wanted to get a little bit more input on, because this is coming up a lot with audit events specifically, and that is, how do we want to handle things that are not easily testable in staging or production? And I'm thinking of things specifically like testing, like group SAML modifications, things that we probably don't have access to in production because we're making updates to a lot of instance level audit events. And I've seen that come up, so I want to make sure that we know whose responsibility is to say, I'm not sure that we can verify this in production, so how do you want to do it? I don't know if that's been discussed already, but I wanted to bring it up to see if anyone had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, good discussion actually. My 2 cents would be it should be on the DRI engineer who originally has worked on the issue to make it outline exactly what the verification steps are, and if there are none, make that explicit around how to check, ensure that certain parts aren't, even if you can't check that exact thing, make sure that certain parts around that system is still working. But maybe it might be worth just asking in Slack at the compliance group or even create an issue just to start the discussion within our group folder.
Okay, yeah, and it's another reason why the importance of those specs being in place and working is so much more important, because some of these things are very difficult, if not possible, to verify in production.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great. All right. Was there anything else to discuss today? No. All right. I'll stop the recording.